like I'm not just blaming the Democrats for things, all right? But let's just kind of talk about this infrastructure.
Karl Rove on where this is going. Karl, it's still an uphill battle to get this done, whether it's working with Republicans or even whether the numbers are there, Democrats going it alone. Where do you think this is going?
Well, I think it is going to be difficult to get all of this done. Let's look at the state of play. Biden started out with a $2.3 trillion so-called infrastructure package that included a lot of things in it that we don't think of conventionally as infrastructure. The Republicans offered up $548 billion. Now, at this point, the administration has lowered its number to $1.7 trillion, and the Republicans are up to $928 billion. So there's been some.
And usually the Republicans are all about the taxing and spending and stuff like that. The thing is that Republicans aren't about the social state. And what it comes down to with this infrastructure bill is that, especially these sanctuary cities, is that they've diverted money from infrastructure to put it towards social programs. That's what's happened in New Mexico, and that's for damn certain. Their infrastructure is so freaking obsolete, and it's basically built on a hill and everything. So it's a lot more susceptible to things shifting, and especially being in the wake of the earthquake zones and things of that nature. Just saying, over a given amount of time, plus nuclear bombs and things like that, depleting aquifers. Most of the infrastructure in the United States is over 50 years old, and the thing is, if we would have maintained the infrastructure properly, we can get like another 25 years out of it easy. The thing is, now we need to make all these catastrophic things are catastrophically failing, and that's so just like a leak in an oil pan, for instance. There's oil leak. There's different classes. Class 1 is there's residual, around with the pan. Okay, need to replace the gasket. It's not critical, but something to pay attention to. Okay, class 2 is like, okay, this is dripping, and so it's still holding oil, but it's not holding nearly holding it as well. It's a class 2 leak. A class 3 leak is when you put it in there, it just comes right out. Look at all the water mains that constantly break and everything like that. And so we're supposed to be worried about this water and everything. And it's like, okay, well, when we have water mains break, that's essentially purified water. And it's sanitary water, sanitized city water, and all that's going down the drains. So that's just flushing money down the drains. Well, let's just continue.
Change here. My sense is that if this has a chance of passing, it's going to take 2 steps. The first step is whatever they arrive at it bipartisan. That's why they're continuing, the administration is trying to continue to push the Republicans to raise the number and open it up to tax, to paying for by tax increases. I don't think that's going to happen. So the choice is going to come down to, do they want to pass $928 billion on a bipartisan basis? If so, they'll get a lot of votes for it. But let's not kid ourselves. There is a step 2, which is to take the $1.4 trillion in spending that's not included in the bipartisan offer that's out on the table and pass it on a party line vote using reconciliation. So they don't need to have a 60 vote threshold in the Senate. The trouble with that is going to be that with only 5 votes in the House, you've got some Democrats in the House who say, I don't want to vote for a corporate tax increase. I don't want to vote for higher taxes. And that makes it very, very iffy. That's why
And so we can see the divide and conquer already of the Democrats. And there's actually a bipartisan. It's almost like, the 2 are becoming 4. Or I should be, say the 2 become 3. You have the left to the right, and now you got the middle. Because some of these Democrats, like Tulsi Gabbard, for instance, she's exactly who we need right now because she's a she's a liberal conservative. She keeps up with the times, better than a lot of these other dinosaurs, especially this one. Buying $6 trillion budget, and then infrastructure, families plan. How much the rescue plan, just spending.
Administration's trying to push the Republicans as far as they can because that makes the second step easier for the Democrats if they get the Republicans committed to large taxing.
I will tell you the way that we do this, though. There is one way that we can actually pull off Biden's plan. And that's if we went to universal income and we went to a technocratic-based economy and we replaced a lot of, human workers with robots. The thing is, we're not at that threshold yet because there's still people that don't want to give up on that, and they're scared, and rightfully so because the technology is not all there. The fact is that automating friggin' McDonald's hamburgers is not that hard, and when they get through automation, they will be able to create a better product because basically 1/3, 2/3, just on about half of every burger that they sell, they have to pay overhead, human resources, employees, tax wages, whereas robots don't have that.
Cases.
All right, so let's talk Democrats only. If it goes that direction, it's extremely dicey, if I can mix those words, to see that done, right? Because there are enough, Democrats concerned about the tax increase that you pointed out, and concerned that given the razor margins really in the House and the Senate, that would be tough.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, think about it. You only need one Democrat in the Senate to say, well, I can't take a tax bill that big, and you got...
And that's the thing, is that these bigger states are bullying the smaller states of the Democrats. Like Pelosi, fucking... who the fuck is up in New York and stuff? Anyways, like these governors and shit. Like, well, yeah, it's fucking Cuomo and crap. It's anyways. These fucking the Democrats are attacking their own. And it's like, if you don't come behind board, then we're just gonna get rid of you. We're gonna replace you with someone else. But the thing is that these are basically purple states, and the purple states, I mean, the Democrats, like, they failed to understand the resistance. They thought it was all going to be gravy train, and a lot more people are going to be considered racist here soon because there's going to be Democrats attacking Democrats. We've already seen cancel culture taking place, and these people like Eminem, who spoke out against Trump, now he's being sold out, right?
Reduce the taxes and therefore reduce the package. And only 5 in the House, 5 Democrats in the House, will say, you know what, I can't go back to my suburban district and say, yeah, I'm raising corporate taxes, I'm raising other levies, I'm going to make it more difficult for farmers and ranchers to pass their farms and ranches on to their kids by raising taxes on capital gains and on death tax.
Nearly doubling it.
So there are lots of, when you got margins that narrow, it's hard to do something on a straight party line vote. And again, that's why they're pushing so hard to get the Republicans, if at all possible, to cave on some big issues that allow them to have a lot more revenue to pay for things that are outside the day.
And the thing is that the Democrats, they can't keep on steamrolling. Even the Democrats, on the left, I mean, like, and they're having a, they're pulling back, and that's why and what's scary too is that because the Republicans are so unified right now, I mean, mostly, yeah, there's the Trump supporters and things of that nature, and rightfully so, because at least with Trump, people are paying attention to politics, and that's something that we should be very proud of Donald Trump for doing, because you got people involved in politics. I don't care about what anyone's political affiliation, how if they like him or not. The fact is that Trump got people involved, whether they knew what they were doing or not. People got involved, and that's freaking beautiful. And it's just nice to what can be done. If we can only unify this effort, instead of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, the Proud Boys, like freaking, if we can just unify, because I think we all believe in the same thing, and that's a beautiful country and an even better earth.
Definition of normal infrastructure, and to make the Republicans share some of the blame for what the Democrats all along have been saying. This is a big winner for us politically if we spend all of this money and raise all these taxes. But there's a recognition that, frankly, it's not that big a winner.
All right, so if this drags past, the summer here, which is conceivable, then you're up against the midterms. You're getting close to that. I'm wondering, time would be of the essence for Democrats, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's why I think they've been wise in saying we're going to get this done. We're either going to come to an agreement here shortly, or we're going to proceed on our own. But frankly, that's a statement of realism that they got to start making the decision to either what they're going to agree to on a bipartisan basis, and then because they're going to need a lot of time to try and get the package that is not agreed to by the Republicans. They're going to need a lot of time for the Democrats to try and push that through, because again, all you need is one Democrat in the Senate to say I can't go for that, or 5 Democrats in the House to say they can't go for the party line vote themselves, and they got trouble.
And so that's really what it comes down to, is a lot about the midterms. And being that the Democrats have promoted this infrastructure bill, they made a lot of false promises, or promises they can't keep. And so a lot of they're already going to be out of. They're already losing votes because of the border crisis. Look what's happening to California and freaking New York. And maybe Caitlyn Jenner, is actually like one of the best ones to actually step up. Should he be a Woman of the Year? Should be her Woman of the Year? No. I believe in her right to pursue public service, and I believe that they're especially when it comes to the athletes, transgender athletes, and this and I believe that it's important that so there's a better say in these matters. But sorry, let me just stay on point. The infrastructure, it's been crippling all around us, and in good areas, Virginia, it's always been pretty stable and stuff. Our infrastructure is probably, it's one of the highest in the country, I do believe. All right, I lied about Virginia, but Wyoming, Kansas, Nebraska, Utah, North Dakota, Washington. I'm actually surprised at Democratic freaking state. I mean, there's a lot of freaking conservatives in Washington State. But Virginia's not even in the top 10. Expand list. Where does Virginia fall in? I thought I expanded the list. What? Virginia's 39th? Damn, okay. You know what? That's mediocrity for you, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I've driven in, a bunch of states, and I mean, Hawaii definitely does have like some of the best roads, to be honest with you, until you go into a military base.